The showpiece of the season for the lower divisions offers, as ever for the clubs, a memorable day at this famous old football arena. For Tranmere, led up by manager Johnny King, it's a return trip then, of course, after last year's success. And for Birmingham City, with Lou Macari proudly at the helm, a long, long wait is finally over. 1956 was the last time Birmingham City were here. The FA Cup final, they lost to Manchester City. And such is the euphoria that surrounded their reappearance today. More than 40,000 have travelled down from England's second city to offer their vociferous support, and I can tell you it really is vociferous, for the team that Macari frankly has transformed since taking over back in February. Well, Tranmere's following isn't anything like so large, that's for sure, but they have another date here too. Johnny King's team in a week's time, which I think many more will attend, the playoff final against Bolton, from which they hope to return to the second division for the first time in more than 50 years. But just listen to the support that Birmingham City have here today. It really is quite staggering. Playing on the hallowed Wembley turf, a new experience for so many players this afternoon in Tranmere's team as well as Birmingham's. There have been changes in their side since last season's triumph over Bristol Rovers. So a lot of nerves jangling out there as the players head towards the presentations. The guest of honour at the Leyland DAF final today is the former Arsenal and England footballer and England cricketer, Dennis Compton, CBE. Tranmere players waving to their supporters here at this crowd that I would think is certainly over 50,000. And for sure more than watched the England international against Argentina here yesterday. Well, Ron Atkinson, you were here yourself not so long ago, of course, with Sheffield Wednesday and the Rumbelows Cup final. How do you think the teams and indeed the managers out there are thinking right at this moment?
Well, they should be enjoying it. I always feel if you come to Wembley, it's an occasion to be enjoyed. And I think both managers will have done their utmost to have made sure his teams are relaxed, that the teams are in the right frame of mind. Interesting thought there, watching Dennis Compton coming out there, Peter, being presented to the sides. He was actually playing Test cricket when Birmingham were last at Wembley.
And we're also saying about the motorways, no M1 in those days and no M40. You've come down on those today, absolutely jam-packed. Must have been hard getting here back in 1956. Yes. But here the Tranmere players, introduced by their captain Eric Nixon, then, who's taken over the skipper's role today. He was captain midweek for the second leg of the playoff semi-final. And Jimmy Harvey left out of the team. He's been captain for most of the season. And also Steve Mungal, who's injured. He's not in the starting lineup, so Eric Nixon gets his chance to captain a Wembley side. Eric Nixon, who was in goal for the two matches last season, and also played here a few seasons back in the full Members' Cup final for Manchester City. And there's Johnny King there meeting Dennis Compton. What an incredible job Johnny King has done. Just 3 years ago, little more than that, Tranmere were bottom of the fourth division. And here they are now back at Wembley, and next week challenging yet again for a place in the second division. Well, now Dennis Compton going across to meet the players from Birmingham City, and Lou Macari was saying, Ron, he's a bit worried, how nervous, how worried they might be. It is such a new occasion for so many of them.
Yes, that's right. I mean, you don't know how your players are going to react on the day. Some just live it and enjoy it and don't feel inhibited. Some completely freeze. Once again, referring back to the gentleman being introduced to the side, a cup winner himself with the Arsenal 1950. I mean, I think that's a marvellous touch, letting Dennis Compton be presented to both sides.
Vince Overson, the captain of Birmingham City. Big smile from Vince, former Burnley player, of course. He was a third division championship winner with them back in the early 80s. And Vince, rest assured, will give his all today, and I think that might just prove telling on the day. These Birmingham City players are very fired up. It means so much to the people of Birmingham. That's no disrespect to those of Liverpool, where Tranmere come from. But it's not such a fresh occasion for them, of course, having been here twice last season. Now there's Lou Macari. Well, there's a lot of speculation about his future. Perhaps he's moving to Celtic, who knows? But for the moment, that is right at the back of his mind. And he really has done a terrific job since taking over from Dave Mackay at St Andrews. There's the referee today, John Martin, the oldest referee in the Football League. Not 52, as some people are saying. He's not quite 52, Ron. He's approaching it, he says. I prefer to be called experienced.
That in itself is a tremendous achievement. The referee at his age being given a major final.
And his two linesmen, Bob James from Stowmarket and Alan Streets from Sheffield. So the formalities are over. Now the national anthem. Fantastic reception for the two teams as they break for their respective ends. Well, now then, a check on the two teams. First Birmingham City, and from the 17-man squad that Lou Macari's been preparing in Spartan surroundings at Reading University, this is the 11 that he has plumped for on this momentous day for Birmingham. Martin Thomas, the Welsh international, in goal. 2 is Ian Clarkson. 3, John Frayne. 4, Mark Yates. 5, the captain, Vince Overson. 6, his central defensive partner, Trevor Matthewson. 7, Dean Peer. 8, John Gale, the former Wimbledon striker. 9, Phil Robinson, who played at Wembley for Notts County against Tranmere in the playoff final last season. 10, Nigel Gleghorn, such a key player for Birmingham City. And wearing 11 is Simon Sturridge, their leading goal scorer, who's recovered from a calf injury. So, Ron, how are they going to shape up?
Yes, I think they'll play in the familiar way, the way they played against, and played so well, I might add, against Brentford in the semi-final. They'll play a 4-4-2. They have a little bit of a problem on the right-hand side of their midfield, with Rogerson not being fit. So they'll play Yates. I think they'll play Yates out there, who really is more suited to playing a more central midfield role.
Well, now the Tranmere side becoming a second home, then Wembley for Tranmere. When they return next week for the playoff final, it'll be their 4th visit in 2 seasons. In goal for them, Eric Nixon, captain then with Harvey dropped and Mungo not available. 2, Dave Higgins. 3, Jed Brannan, 19-year-old who scored the winner in the playoff semi-final against Brentford in the week. 4, Kenny Irons. 5 is Mark Hughes, he'll be the sweeper. 6, Steve Vickers. 7, Johnny Morrissey. 8, Neil McNabb, back after injury. 9, Jim Steele. 10, Steve Cooper, who's replacing the long-term casualty Ian Muir, the club's record goal scorer, of course. And 11 is Tony Thomas. Ron.
Yes, they play with a slightly different system, the system they've got, which is tried and trusted. Mark Hughes, spare man at the back, a job he did tremendously well here last season. Higgins and Vickers as markers. Thomas and Brannan, who are actually full-backs, will push on and reinforce McNabb and Irons in midfield. A 3-man attack. Johnny Morrissey, we think, will start on the right wing, but his job will be to float about and supply ammunition for both Steele and Cooper, who are exceptionally good headers of the ball.
Well, let's check on the substitutes. There they are. Robert Hopkins, a Birmingham man through and through, wearing 12 for Birmingham. And Dennis Bailey, a bit of a surprise choice there. He's been out of favour, indeed on loan to Bristol Rovers, and he's only just returned to the club. And for Tranmere, Chris Malkin, who played in the final last year, and wearing 14, Dave Martindale. And there is John Martin. This is his 6th Wembley match, and really looking forward to it too, I can tell you beforehand. And delighted to be continuing in the Football League next season at the age of 51. And a credit it is to the English refereeing scene. So, we're all set then for the 1991 Leyland DAF Cup final. Tranmere in the all-white strip about to kick off, attacking the goal to our left, hoping to become the first team to retain the trophy, and facing Birmingham City in the all-blue, who are playing at Wembley for the first time in 35 years, and looking for their first trophy since they won the League Cup back in 1963. An early touch for Eric Nixon, an experienced goalkeeper. And he's had an outstanding season for Tranmere, and I'm told was absolutely devastating in midweek when they came through against Brentford. Tranmere to reach that playoff final next week. Goal kick then to Birmingham. And there's young Jed Brannan. A lot of responsibility resting on his shoulders today in the absence of Steve Mungo. But he's a young man they rate very highly indeed at Tranmere. Martin Thomas, once of Newcastle, and a spell too at Tottenham in his early days, although he never made the breakthrough into the first team. But he's had a terrific run in the Leyland DAF this season. He saved a couple of penalties in the first round in the shootout against Swansea. And he's only conceded 2 goals in 7 ties. Cooper. An overcast afternoon at Wembley, but it's a fairly humid one too. So it is going to be rather warm out there for the players. Gale. Gleghorn. Thomas with a pretty fierce challenge. Gleghorn, so instrumental in Birmingham's progress to this final. The lovely passer of a ball, Gleghorn, former Ipswich and Manchester City player. And towards Gale, who got up highest. Some confusion. Overson got in, and Mathewson too. So both the central defenders making an impact there.
Yes, I think we'll find here, Peter, that Mathewson was very unlucky there. They all go into the melee, and Mathewson's got a left-footed shot which is only just skimmed narrowly wide of the post. But I think that's something Tranmere want to avoid, giving too many free kicks and corners away, because Birmingham are the sort of side that will exploit them. That will be one of their big assets, loading the ball into the box and generally trying to pile pressure on.
Pear to Gale. Robinson. The man who's played here before, remember, with Notts County against Tranmere. There's big Jim Steele. And I'm sure that Birmingham will be made well aware of his physical presence too this afternoon, Jim Steele. The man who scored the winning goal last season against Bristol Rovers. Higgins, who came across. Here's Robinson. Higgins again. Dave Higgins, who missed both the finals last season at Wembley because of suspension, and didn't thank me too much for reminding him of it beforehand either. He was actually sent off on the last day of the season, much to his chagrin. Now this is Mark Hughes. Cooper got the better of Overson then. But Clarkson upfield for Birmingham, only as far as McNabb, and now Higgins to steer it all the way back to Eric Nixon.
Yes, I think Tranmere may have adjusted their style slightly. They'll play the same way at the back with the two central defenders and the spare man. But bearing in mind that Muir has been injured for some while, which it must indeed be a big blow to them, they've now got the advantage of 2 big guys up front, and they may find, whereas normally they like to play their way, and they may just take a more direct route. Certainly Birmingham, for their part, I'm pretty sure will play very directly. They'll try and hit Gale early and then support him very, very quickly from midfield. I don't think they'll play with too many frills, whereas I think Tranmere will knock the ball about a little bit more, be a little bit more patient.
Yes, just to underline that, I was talking with Johnny King beforehand, and he was making that very point, Ron, that they've had to change their style with Muir out. And of course it does take some time to adapt. But Cooper's come in and done well in recent matches. Indeed, he scored 4 goals in 5 games.
Oh yeah, he's a tremendous springer. Scored some remarkable goals in the air, and this is a situation that could suit him. Things like this, because we've talked about Birmingham's danger. Certainly Tranmere, and Cooper in particular, are excellent in the air.
I think Johnny King's worry has been one. They've both gone for the same ball sometimes, but let's see what happens here. Well, that's a variation. Thomas again, thundering through. He's a very forceful player, Tony Thomas. A lot of First Division clubs have their eye on him. Now McNabb, he'll be the playmaker in midfield. Morrissey's cross and another corner. Johnny Morrissey, who's been in a purple patch of late. He's been scoring some spectacular goals too, I gather. McNabb now. Brandon didn't get hold of that one. But Birmingham a little fortunate to get it away. Sturridge. That was good play by him. A good nifty little player, Simon Sturridge. Pierre making the run through the middle. Can he get away from Brannan? Well, he almost did. And the youngster stuck to his task well then.
He did very well. That's typical of Birmingham's link-up though. They'll hit a ball forward and you'll see Dean Pierre, who's got a tremendous engine, and also Robinson try and make what you call in the game third-man runs. As he goes up into the front players, they will be sprinting past McNabb and Irons and try and give very, very good attacking support from midfield.
Well, Lou Macari has seen so far a pretty attacking game from both teams. Plenty of positive ideas at the start of this Leyland DAF Cup final. Lou Macari, I'm sure he wouldn't have dreamt just 3 months ago he'd be leading a team out at Wembley. McNabb taking the free kick then for Tranmere. Hughes has gone forward. They've got Jim Steele in there, Vickers too, but it's Pierre who heads clear. Here's Sturridge. Leading goal scorer with 9 so far for Birmingham City this season.
Yeah, good little player as well, Sturridge. Good tight control. Looks as if he can nick goals. I just wonder, with the fact that Bailey's on the bench, whether there is still a doubt about Sturridge. There was an injury doubt leading up to the game. I wonder whether Lewis put Bailey there. He was a similar type of player, much of as a precaution for the latter stages.
Yes, he's had a calf injury, Sturridge, but seems to have recovered from it. And it was Sturridge, of course, who scored the winner in the area final against Bradford. This is Vickers. Very calm and relaxed figure at the back for Tranmere, and he's really matured over the past couple of seasons. Higgins. Now then to Hughes. Thomas. That was out of play. It's a Birmingham throw. Sloppy play from Mark Hughes. He has a chance to redeem himself there. Morrissey tangling with Frayne. Tranmere throw. Tranmere, who were in the running for an automatic promotion place right up until the last day of the season, just missed out, but have this second opportunity next week against Bolton. And I think, Ron, they have to put that out of their minds today and just concentrate on this one, really, Tranmere.
Very much so. I saw a comment that Johnny King thought last year distracted them, that they missed the playoff, winning in the playoff. I would have thought it was a good thing for them in a way to keep playing and keep match sharp, particularly in important games like this. I can't see that this being a big disadvantage to them.
I think he just felt maybe the games were too close together. But anyway, let's pick up the free kick here. There's Gale, who's making a real nuisance of himself in the air. Robinson. Now Pierre. Looks a rather gangling player, Pierre, but as Ron was saying, he's the engine room in the side. He never stops running.
Yes, I think if they have a criticism about him, he makes these runs, as we saw earlier, and doesn't finish enough. He doesn't get on the score sheet enough. But you made mention of another Birmingham player a few minutes ago, Cleghorn. Now, if the game started going his way, he could be the man to exploit Wembley. Wembley looks made to measure for a player of his type, if he can get the space for himself.
There he is, great crosser of a ball, Nigel Cleghorn. 10 minutes gone, no score. Steal for Tranmere. Again, Steele is the target here. Overson with him. Now Johnny Morrissey, son of the old Everton and Liverpool winger of the same name. And a winger certainly in the old tradition, Johnny Morrissey Jr. Hughes. On from Steele. Didn't find Cooper though. Gleghorn. Plenty of movement up front from Sturridge. Well read though by Vickers. Now Gale spreading the play well. Here's Clarkson. We've got 3-4 in the area. Gale! Oh, great save from Nixon. Gale on the end of the cross, which was perfectly flighted in by Clarkson. And what a reaction save by Eric Nixon.
Well, that's brilliant. Beautiful ball in from Clarkson, deep to the far post. A big striker's delight. Heads it quite well. Nixon, marvellous save.
There's the corner, and there's the man they have to watch. John Gale, and there he is again. And my word, he's causing some problems. Gleghorn firing it through. Overson. And Clarkson misread his intentions then. Cooper. It's a fine pass to Irons. And surely he was impeded then. Yep, that's the referee's decision. Kenny Irons, who's got 8 on and not 4 as we were told beforehand. As long as he knows who he is. Another of the very promising youngsters, Neil McNabb, who's been around a little bit longer, but I'm sure some relief in the Tranmere cap that he was fit to play today. Higgins. He'll blame the turf. Shake of the head from Dave Higgins. Not renowned as a goal scorer. But Eric Nixon, without question then, rescuing Tranmere at the other end. Fantastic save. And no wonder they rate him so highly. And Neville Southwell, indeed, who he trains with once a week, rates him among the top 3 in England.
That's right, yeah. He's certainly one of the best in, if not the best in the lower divisions. What that movement also showed, of course, is Birmingham have a great outlet if Clarkson decides to make attacking moves up the Birmingham right, because Tranmere don't have a left-sided player as such. They have Brannan, who has to cover the left full-back position and try to make the distance on this side. And Clarkson, although he's a covering defender, will find if he breaks out enough times, Peter, he'll find he could become very much a free man.
Yeah, I think they've been working on his confidence a lot at Birmingham. He came in for a bit of a stick from the crowd earlier on in the season, but Lou Macari and Chick Bates, his assistant, have worked hard at that, building the players' confidence. Not only Clarkson, but others around him too. It's certainly been a feature of Birmingham's play that they've begun to believe in themselves again. Morrissey, that was almost an excellent through ball. He threaded on there, but the offside flag was up anyway.
Certainly that's something Lou Macari would be quite happy with. His side haven't shown any signs of nerves yet. They've settled down to the task quite well.
Well, he's made sure they were ready. As I mentioned earlier on, he had them down at Reading University this week, in bed by 10:30, and Spartan surroundings, tiny bedrooms.
There's different ways of building up for finals.
I was going to say, what was your method, Rob?
There are different ways of building up, I must admit.
Did you do that before the Rumbelows Cup final?
I didn't do that before schools finals.
Clarkson. Oh, excellent play then by Hughes. He always looks so comfortable in possession, Mark Hughes. Fouled then by Overson.
Yeah, he had a super game here last year. In fact, we gave Thomas the man of the match award, but he's very, very close to this fella on the ball now. Mark Hughes ran him very, very close for the man of the match award last season.
And of course, playing the sweeper system depends on the reliability of the man in the sweeper's role, and Mark Hughes fits the bill. 29 now, and playing the best football of his career. But he'll have to play it with another ball in this game. They've swapped it over. Referee John Martin is happy now. Oh, looks all right to me. Hughes with the free kick. Steele was battling in there, no joy though. And time for Clarkson to shepherd the ball back to Martin Thomas. John Gale with Vickers, all rather untidy. Tranmere, who came through against Preston in the area final. A big 4-0 win in the first leg, that did the damage. McNabb to take the free kick. He has Thomas there with him. Here's McNabb. Now Thomas, ever willing runner, trying to link up with Steele. Didn't work out though. Away comes Overson. It's a fine pass. Sturridge has got Leghorn away on his left. Yates. The tackle though by Hughes. But a good advert so far this game for third division football. Two enterprising teams. Clarkson. The early ball in towards Gale. Doesn't find his mark this time. Clarkson diving in. Hughes.
Yes, I think Clarkson's beginning to realise how much space he's got ahead of himself, and he's now prepared to step out into that space. You'll probably find that Tranmere will have to either switch Morrissey across to this flank for a while to occupy him, or pull Cooper into a slightly wider position. But it is pretty apparent what you were saying about Johnny King. It is noticeable how often both Cooper and Jim Steele go for the same ball.
Yeah, they just did it again there. Brennan. There's Steele. But it must have been a shattering blow on Toulouse, Ian Muir, the record goal scorer, and a player who was so vital to them up front.
Yes, that's right. And to be fair to Tranmere, they've lost 2 or 3 vital players, and I think it shows slightly in their team play at the moment. They're not quite as cohesive, certainly as they were in last season's final. And at the moment, it looks as if Birmingham have settled to the task a little bit better.
Of course, Johnny King has left out Jimmy Harvey, who's certainly a cultured player, and Jimmy was very disappointed not to make the starting 11. Indeed, not to make the 13. He'd been out through illness in midweek, but he was telling me beforehand he was fit to return. But Johnny King deciding not to select him on this occasion.
Well, he certainly knows there he's having a right old shout, Johnny. He certainly knows as well how competitive Birmingham will be in midfield. Both Robinson and Pear and Yates to a certain extent will all try and get the foot in and compete and deny space. And he may have felt it, if the lad has been out, missed a game or two, that Wembley finds people out. And he's got a very important game next week. He might be trying to balance it off a little bit that way, Johnny King.
Yes, I was just thinking that. I mean, Johnny has said, of course, that he wasn't holding anybody back for next week, but it might just have been in his mind that he has got this very important game coming up against Bolton, and, well, Jimmy Harvey may well feature in that. This is Frayne with a throw then for Birmingham, who started in lively fashion. No goals, though, so far. Thomas. "20 minutes into the first half. Birmingham 0, Tranmere Rovers 0, the final of the Leyland DAF Cup for 1991. Irons, challenged by Robinson. Here's Cooper. Pass was too casual though. Clarkson's long ball as Sturridge goes chasing through, and there's a goal from Sturridge. Birmingham ahead just before the halfway point in the first half, and the persistence of Sturridge paid off to the delight of the Birmingham City following, and the leading goal scorer strikes again.
Yes, that's a deserved goal. Nixon won't be terribly happy the way he's run past the ball there. Full marks to little Sturridge. He's read the flick on. Once again, the long ball coming up from Clarkson. A touch on here by Gale, a good touch on. Now, I would just wonder whether Mark Hughes will be a little bit disappointed he hadn't taken up a good covering position there. But that, as you say, is a triumph really for persistence, because Tranmere were very, very much in terms of defenders, very much numerically outnumbered Birmingham there. Tranmere won't be very happy at all with conceding that, but the little fella's battered his way through for a goal and he's off his own there.
It's a bad goal to concede, but an excellent one to score, and Sturridge is the hero now of Birmingham. The fullbacks too, of course, to Gale for the flick on, and we saw again there the menace of the danger of Gale in the air and the finishing of Sturridge. Tranmere looking to bounce straight back. Steele didn't really win it in the air though. Brannan taking the throw. Thunderous noise from the Birmingham following. Over 40,000 of them here today. Irons spreads it wide now then to Thomas. Steele wanting a cross in the middle. Now has he taken it too far? He has. Goal kick to Birmingham. Well, no emotion on the face of Lou Macari, but he will be as delighted as his fans. But Stuart Sturridge has given Birmingham City the lead.
That's a goal Lou will personally enjoy, because that's very, very reminiscent of the sort of goal he used to get. Brave, going in where it hurts and seeing only the ball. I mean, there was a fair chance he might have got kicked to death there, the way that the Tranmere defenders converged on him, but he thought of nothing else but scoring a goal.
Gale who made it. And the combination has paid off once more. John Gale has taken his time to win over the Birmingham supporters. Sturridge has been in and out at times, but now they do look a very effective partnership. Hughes with the free kick. And who was back there to hit it away but John Gale? Higgins. And the Birmingham fans can hardly contain their excitement now. They've waited a long time to go back to Wembley. I don't think there's anyone left in Birmingham today. McNabb. It's a free kick to Tranmere. McNabb will be hoping to drive Tranmere on now. Morrissey with the free kick in towards Steele. Yates got it away. Here's Brannan. Now McNabb. Irons with Clarkson. And a free kick to Birmingham.
Yes, it's a period of time now where Birmingham just want to take the sting out of the game. Obviously, Tranmere have got excited. They've been stung by the goal. It's important now that Birmingham, from their point, just keep steady, keep the shape, try and cool the game down for a little bit, and then make another surge. But they've just given one or two free kicks away, which I don't think Lou Macari would be terribly happy with. That builds up pressure on themselves.
But it's like a home game for Birmingham City here at Wembley. The atmosphere has been building up there all week. Ron, of course, lives in Birmingham. Indeed, I think he owns most of it, but the atmosphere has been terrific up there, Ron, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they say these competitions are very minor, but you can see, it means an awful lot to the people of Birmingham. as indeed he did Bristol last year. I mean, Bristol brought a heck of a lot of supporters here last year.
Well, I've got a feeling that Tranmere will have a lot more following them next week in the playoff final. 25 minutes gone. Birmingham 1, Tranmere 0. Well, they have been so excited up in Birmingham. I remember too, after the win over Brentford in the area final, a chap coming up to me and sitting down next to me and swapping his cup of tea down next to me and saying, "I've waited 35 years for this moment." And I said, "Well, that's the waitress service for you." In goes Cooper. I don't think he meant that, though.
That's the first flash we've really seen from Tranmere as well, Cooper nipping in there. I mean, that would be a bit ironic. He was given a free transfer, I think, some years ago from Birmingham.
Yes, he had a struggle to get into the side at first with Ian Muir, of course, the first choice, but then the injury to Muir gave him his opportunity. And Johnny King was saying beforehand he's beginning to settle into the role now. Although it's taken some adjustments in the formation.
Yes, at the moment they're lacking any real pace through the middle, any real thrust. Both Steele and Cooper are much of a muchness, and nobody can really run past the ball. I should think at some time when they've got Chris Malkin sat on the bench, who is a very, very unorthodox, free-striding, quick type of a player.
Which I think one of the paciest players in the whole Football League.
That's right.
But he's on the bench today. Here's Hughes. He can't afford to dwell on the ball with Gale around. He's such a formidable character, John Gale.
Yeah, certainly Mark Hughes hasn't looked as comfortable. He's looked comfortable when he's had 20 or 30 yards of space to play in, but when people have tightened him down quickly like Gale has done here, he hasn't looked quite as alive as I've seen him in the past.
That was a good leap then by Cooper, but he didn't make contact. Higgins did, but unfairly. Free kick to Birmingham.
You also wonder, of course, Birmingham haven't played for a while. You know, they've come into the game relatively fresh, whereas a lot of Tranmere's efforts and energies have been channeled into trying to get themselves promoted.
Yes, Birmingham have devoted the week to preparing for this final. Robinson. Dean Pearce. Well, he says himself he should score goals more often, but he'll not do so like that.
I think Vince Overson there, coming back from that melee, he feels that he possibly should have had a penalty. Jim Steele wrapped himself round him a little bit.
Yes, it all looked rather untidy in there, but Overson felt he had a case. Big imposing figure, Vince Overson at the back for Birmingham. And he will certainly lead by example today. Gleckhorn now. Reckless tackle by McNabb. Little bustler in the midfield for Tranmere. And they'll need him to be at his best now if they're to pull back on level terms. But it's Birmingham pressing. Mathewson to take the free kick. Up towards Gale and Overson. Gleckhorn. Frayne. Flags up though.
Certainly no question at the moment, though. Lou Macari will be much the happier of the managers, even allowing for the fact his side have taken the lead. Johnny King won't be. His side haven't really settled into the pattern that they can play so well. They're a bit iffy at the moment. They haven't really penetrated. They haven't shown a lot of thrust, and they're looking very, very vulnerable to big John Gale's aerial power. And we've seen it with the goal when he touched the one. Gale will be happier about that, Peter, because he probably feels he should have scored from Clarkson's cross a few minutes earlier.
Denied by the expert goalkeeping of Eric Nixon. Because half an hour gone now in the first half. Birmingham with the one goal so far, scored by their top scorer, Simon Sturridge, his 10th of the season. Birmingham themselves were challenging for a playoff place for a while, but they fell away in the last few weeks of the season. I think fair to say they were distracted by their Wembley appearance. But Lou Macari not necessarily too worried by that. I think he feels that there's no point in going up if you're not ready for it, and he wouldn't mind another season to prepare for a serious stab at promotion. But you'll be glad, Ron, to see Lou back on his feet, bouncing back in the way that he has.
Yeah, very much so. Well pleased for the little fella. And as I say, living in the city, he has created an absolute wave of enthusiasm, which is highlighted here today, not only on the playing side, but also the fans. The fans love him.
McNabb given away though to Gleckhorn. There could be danger here. Pierre didn't really strike it too cleanly though. In fact, he came back off Sturridge. McNabb. Now Higgins. Off goes Sturridge. He's got Gale in the middle. And he couldn't turn Mark Hughes, who just kept his feet there. But it was a dicey moment. Almost exploited by Sturridge, who's very, very nimble and pacey up front. And a predatory finisher too, as we've seen. Away by Morrissey, the ball was out of play though. And I think the linesman was giving it one way and the referee the other. You can have the casting vote, Ron. It's a Tranmere.
I certainly think Tranmere look unbalanced at the moment without no natural left-sided player. It may well be that if Morrissey switched across to this side, possibly they feel Cleghorn will get too much space for Birmingham on the other side and start to create a few openings. But I think they've got to look at their own game and say, you know, they really haven't built up any momentum. They've had a couple of little half situations, but nothing serious. Whereas Birmingham have threatened 2 or 3 times, have scored, and in fact look the more likely now.
Matthewson, beaten in the air by Steele. Gleckhorn away. An extra incentive too for the Birmingham City players, or many of them anyway, playing for their futures next season. Lou Macari has been told to trim his staff, so there'll be some important decisions to be made on that front fairly soon. Gleckhorn. Here's Gale. Policed firmly though by Vickers, who just got a nick then on the ankle as he went past Gale. Hughes with the free kick. It goes Cooper. They have to keep an eye on his jumping ability, Cooper. He really does get up very, very high. Gale with Vickers. John Gale with 8 goals this season, having joined them from Wimbledon last winter. Birmingham, his hometown city. Hometown club, I should say. Roberson. Here's Gale. Now Clarkson in support once more. Got 4 in the penalty area, hoping for the service. Ian Clarkson, one of the locals in the side who've grown up together really. Others like Pear and Yates and Frayne who've come through as well. Clarkson, another dangerous ball in. Gale once more on the end of it.
Well, we can see that's certainly a main avenue for Birmingham to build up. Clarkson, all the space in the world, builds it up. Beautiful curling ball in. That's about the 3rd very, very good cross he's made. Gale's got to cross his marker very well. Once again, unlucky.
He's hitting the crosses in with pace too, and Gale there rather unlucky to guide that one beyond the post. Very difficult balls for defenders to deal with. McNabb, the tumble in the area as Cooper went down. Appeals in vain towards John Martin, who scampers away and says, "Don't be ridiculous." In fairness, there weren't too many complaints from the Tranmere players. 10 minutes of the first half to go. Birmingham with a single goal lead, and they're good value for it. Higgins, this is Overson. Now Frayne. Sturridge trying to shake off Higgins and Morrissey. Gleghorn. Oh, it's good skill from Gleghorn. Warmly applauded by the Birmingham fans.
Yes, at the moment Birmingham have established themselves in midfield. They're completely overrunning Tranmere in midfield. And I think if that continues to happen, I think you'll see Nigel Gleghorn's skills start to flower. And they've got Dean Pears and Robinson are doing what we call the ratting jobs, going and hunting the ball.
Can't seem to be that touch more urgency about Birmingham City. Although McNabb went in firmly enough then. And Frayne made no real attempt to go for that ball, and I think has an injury. Yes, he's calling there for some attention. Oh, that's a nasty cut in the eye of John Frayne. Another young man who's had a solid time in the team of late. And they've had a fairly settled defence, and he's come in really for Greg Downs, the old Coventry defender who played in the FA Cup final, of course, back in '87. Greg, who had a long-term injury, is fit again now, so John knows that he's under pressure to retain his place. Dennis Bailey, one of the two substitutes for Birmingham City. And there's the other one, Robert Hopkins, and he'll be dying to get on. And here we can see what happened to Frayne again here, and he got caught in the face. I don't think there was anything intentional there, just a scramble for the ball, and John Frayne came off worst. Birmingham with this huge following today, and their biggest fan is here, Jasper Carrott, the comedian. He was playing in the charity game beforehand and was dancing around in front of the Birmingham fans as if they won the cup already, and he got a terrific reception from them. I didn't see much of the game, Rob. What was he like as a footballer, Jasper?
Oh, he didn't do badly at all. He got in one great situation where he was 1v1 against Frank Worthington of all people, and he managed to rob Frank of the ball, and you can imagine what the fans were like then. The Birmingham fans went balmy.
And Jasper Carrott will be relishing this day as much as anyone. Lifelong Birmingham City fan. And there's a few of those here today. Morrissey now for Tranmere. Thomas with the cross in. Steele was arriving. Higgins to McNabb. Too easily dealt with though by Mathewson, who was held back anyway. Another man who's had a very consistent season, Trevor Mathewson, perhaps as consistent as anyone really in the Birmingham side, and he hasn't missed a game for them. Played a couple of games at Sheffield Wednesday in his early days, Ron.
That's right, apparently so, yeah. Always been very impressed whenever I've seen him play for Birmingham. Does an equally good job at left full back as well. I was just wondering that when Frayne had the knock, if that had been so severe, whether he might have switched into left full back.
Higgins pumping it forward. Good play then by Morrissey. Thomas to McNabb. Morrissey once more. And he's the man who might just turn things for Tranmere, Johnny Morrissey. Very tricky customer.
I've been talking about him switching to this flank to try and occupy Clarkson a bit more. I also think when he's playing on the right-hand side, he blocks young Thomas's runs up from behind him. I mean, last year Thomas was powering up and down from the semi-full-back midfield position and made some great attacking sorties. At the moment, he just seems to be staying there. Let's see what happens with Sturridge first in this little situation.
Hoping to Bennett from the pass from Yates. But that's competent defending, though, by Higgins. Until he gives it away to Yates. Driving through from the midfield. Gale And he had the strength then to shake off Vickers, and scores Birmingham's second in the most emphatic fashion. Lou Macari off the bench applauding, and well he might. Cracking shot then by John Gale.
Oh, that is an absolute blinding goal. He shows great skill here. I didn't think he possessed that sort of skill to lose Vickers. And I must admit, when he hit this, I thought he would have to go for the far side of the goal. He's hit that past, we'll probably see it from behind better here. Superb link up there from Little Robinson. Good turn. From there, you would think he'd have to beat Nixon at the far post. He's rattled one past the inside on the near post. That is a magnificent goal.
5 minutes to half-time, and Birmingham have taken a 2-0 lead. And how about that then for a strike from John Gale? That's his 9th of the season. I don't think any of the previous ones will have given him as much pleasure as that. To Birmingham. Tranmere really up against it now. Off goes Thomas. Looking for Cooper and Steele. And plucked out of the air by Martin Thomas. And the Birmingham fans in great voice now. Outnumbering the Tranmere supporters by probably around 3-1, I would think. And just look at those celebrations now. Well, the cup isn't won yet, but they have taken a mighty stride towards that success. John Gale.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone can deny them that. They've been far the superior side. They've settled to their game, played very, very purposeful. And at the moment really haven't given Tranmere a look in. I'm very, very surprised whether in fact the Tranmere boys have been a little bit inhibited by the size of Birmingham's support. I don't know, but certainly the Birmingham team look as if they've come on a mission, and at the moment you can't see them not fulfilling that mission.
No question, Birmingham absolutely fired up for this game. And John Gale with that second goal surely has presented Tranmere with an awesome task. Off goes Clarkson again. Steele showing some aggression. It's a free kick though to Birmingham. Johnny King with a lot of problems now, and he will have plenty of talking to do at half-time. It's Clarkson with the free kick in towards Gale! Well, he's a cult figure now at Birmingham, and you can see why the fans have taken him to their hearts. He admits himself it was difficult at first, taking his time to settle.
That's another lovely ball in. Clarkson's impressed me with the quality of the ball he's put into the box, and Gale with his runs. You say he's a cult figure there. I'll tell you something, Lou Macari has done a hell of a job on this player, because he's got to be, for me, he's one of the most improved players I've seen, because when he went there he didn't half have his problems, as you say, but now he looks the part. He makes good runs, timing of his runs, and he actually looks as if Lou's done a lot of work on him physically as well.
Well, I gather he felt himself, he wondered if he'd made the right decision on going back to Birmingham. He got a lot of criticism from the crowd in the early matches, but once he scored a couple of goals, well, he began to win them over, and they love him now. And they'll be toasting the name of John Gale around the stadium, these Birmingham fans. And away to our right, the Tranmere following looks totally subdued. Behind Eric Nixon's goal. Well, right on cue, they're making a bit of noise now, trying to lift their team. A challenge from Cooper. And the decision going Tranmere's way. Brannan with the throw. They badly need a goal now before half-time to raise their spirits, Tranmere. Birmingham have certainly had the better of the first 45 minutes. We're almost now into injury time, just a little bit to add on from referee John Martin. Hughes has come up. It's Morrissey with the corner. Higgins in there too. Too easy for Martin Thomas. Fantastic scenes of joy among these Birmingham supporters. We've been looking forward to this day for a long time. Ever since they came through against Brentford in the area final. And they gave their team terrific support that night as well, down at Griffin Park, I remember, when they came through with Sturridge's goal. Morrissey. McNabb taking over. Cooper. Gleckhorn. Delightfully done. Gale's pulled away to the right. Here's Gale now. Pear's gone into the middle. Pear! What a save then by Nixon. And what a move by Birmingham City.
Well, wherever you've watched football all through the season, you'll not see better quality than that. Superb threaded through ball by Gleckhorn. The big fella again, who else? Gale goes onto it, shapes. And as he's developing here, Pear's making a great run into the box. Appears to do everything right, and yet a magnificent reaction save by Eric Nixon. Marvellous football all the way through there. Marvellous football.
Nixon keeping the score down at the moment. Birmingham hunting here for a third goal. And there's Nixon to the rescue again for Tranmere. And that really was a stunning save from Dean Pear. There's the half-time whistle, and the cheers, or the roars really, of the Birmingham fans will tell you how delighted they are with the way their team have played in this first half. John Gale with the second goal after Simon Sturridge had put Birmingham in front. And it's been a very convincing display so far from Birmingham, with their strike force of Sturridge and Gale giving them this advantage, which Tranmere Rovers, on their showing so far, will find it hard to recover from. And a few heads down there, and I think Johnny King will have his work cut out at half-time, raising their morale now. The half-time score at Wembley in the Leyland DAF Cup final is Birmingham City 2, Tranmere Rovers 0. So welcome back to Wembley and the second half of the Leyland DAF Cup final. Birmingham City in control, leading Tranmere by 2-0. And certainly they have been the better of the teams so far. A little bit more determination about Birmingham City. And Tranmere, I'm sure, will have had a bit of a talking to from Johnny King, their manager, at half-time. No substitutions made by either team, although there was a doubt about John Frayne continuing for Birmingham. He's got a cut just below his left eye, Birmingham left back. And I gather he's going to have stitches in it after the game, in the wound. But he's battling on now. So anxious to be part of what he hopes will be a Birmingham triumph, and it's certainly looking that way at the moment. There is John Frayne. No problem really for Thomas, the shot from Steele. And he hasn't really, Ron, had a great deal to do so far, apart from taking some crosses, Martin Thomas. They haven't really extended him.
No, that's possibly the first little bit of pressure of any sort that Tranmere have put upon him. It was noticeable then. Hughes went up, a long throw, straight from the kick-off. They push people forward. It looks as if they've obviously got to. They've got to try and build up some momentum, some pressure at Tranmere, because really they haven't contributed much at all in the first half.
Higgins lost it then. Now Gleckhorn. In goes Gale. And he really has been such a constant thorn in Tranmere's flesh today, John Gale. A very aggressive striker. And it was that aggression that got him into trouble at Wimbledon. He had a much publicised set-to with Keith Curle. And in the end, John Gale left the club to go back to Birmingham.
I think what must be good for him as well at the moment, Peter, he obviously realises he's got the sign on the defenders. The defenders are looking for him all the while, and he's aware of that, and that's pumping his own confidence up.
And Ron Atkinson, I can tell you, couldn't believe how well John Gale had played in the first half. He Shook his head once or twice and wondered if it was still Regis out there. But it's John Gale, and he's been very, very impressive. There were certainly similarities from with Sewell at his best. The way he took that goal. Here he is again, causing trouble. Higgins just got out of danger. Steele. Jim Steele, who's joining the police force next year. And he's certainly big enough to be a policeman. And he wanted to do so a little earlier, but they persuaded him to stay on for one more season. Brannan. And he got himself out of difficulties well then, before running back into trouble. Well, no switches were on at the start of the half, but we were saying earlier on, he's got Chris Malkin on the bench there, and I would think he'll be contemplating that possibility fairly soon.
Yes, well, Chris Malkin, whenever I've seen him, is a very fast, very unorthodox, sometimes drive you up the wall with his loose control. But at the moment, he's the type of player that Tranmere need. Somebody with enough pace to run beyond the Birmingham defence, because at the moment, the Birmingham defence have pushed high up the park, been quite comfortable in the knowledge that really there's little threat or little pace to go beyond them. Now, Malkin is a very, very unorthodox free-running type of a forward who can be absolutely awful or can be really, really something special.
Well, there's certainly some activity on the bench. David Martindale seemed to be adjusting his tights, so perhaps he might be coming on. And also Malkin too. And we saw on the bench there Ian Muir on crutches, and how dearly, just to the extreme right as we look there, how dearly Johnny King would have liked him out on the park for him today. Ian Muir, who's scored so many goals for Tranmere, but out with damaged ligaments since March. Indeed, he's got 8 of their 16 goals in the competition this season. Thomas with the cross in. Away by Robinson. Not very effectively though. Now Morrissey. What can he do here? Here's Thomas. And it's Gale back there helping out. So much effort and energy being shown by these Birmingham players, and of course Lou Macari's teams are renowned for their fitness, and there's no question mark against that today.
Yes, well, I understand. I was talking to someone connected with the Birmingham camp, said Lou did, talking about where they were staying, Reading University, Lou had them actually doing a very, very hard physical session yesterday, which is unorthodox to say the least.
Well, there were 1 or 2 complaints, I gather, a few mutterings from the players early on in the week, but they're reaping their rewards now. McNabb. Well, it was too long for Steele, who's arriving in there. And also for Brannan.
There is just a hint of momentum building up in Tranmere's play at the moment. The big guys are getting in there for some of the set plays now.
Didn't reach Steele. Here's McNabb. Well, they'll have to do a lot better than that. Kenny Irons, young man who's made the breakthrough into the first team on a regular basis this season. Former YTS lad. Martin Thomas, experienced figure, says let's calm it all down with this 2-goal advantage. A spot of rain in the air now, I think, at Wembley. Matthewson, commanding figure away. Not too much has got past him today. Morrissey with Thomas. 5 hoping for the cross. Wasn't good enough though. But Birmingham with some defending to do now. McNabb Roverson got it clear, only as far as Thomas, but here's Gale, now with Sturridge. Gale's got Herring off down the middle. Oh, Sturridge did well then to recover. And a foul by Yates on Hughes. So a little bit of improvement being shown by Tranmere at the start of the second half. Hughes on the steal. Gale breathing down the neck of Steve Vickers.
Yes, that's something I know for a fact Birmingham have been working on. When Nixon brings the ball outside his box to kick, instead of the Birmingham back four dropping off, they're prepared to hold a tight line and try and catch them offside. It takes a little bit of nerve to do that, because you're always worried about somebody breaking through, but with the lack of pace in the Tranmere team, it's not such a big threat holding a line high up the field.
Gale didn't win it in the air this time. Overson. Such a determined leader of Birmingham, it's Overson. Could be a bad slip. Sturridge! Well, if that had been Gale, that surely would have been the third goal. Sturridge just couldn't stretch far enough. Cross in from Peer.
Yeah, but once again, that emphasises one of the big qualities here. He's fought back for this as Dean Peer. Bit unlucky that the Tranmere lad slipped, but whips it in straight away, and a very, very good ball into the box. I actually thought Sturridge was going to make on that.
And a sigh of relief, I'm sure, from the Tranmere defenders that it wasn't John Gale on the end of that cross. Well, that surely would have been the end of their dreams of taking the cup for the second year running. Sturridge. Now Clarkson. Yates, on goes Sturridge. Does he have the pace? Not quite. As the ball zips across the Wembley turf. (2-0) to Birmingham City. Just under 10 minutes of the second half played. Tranmere trying to claw their way back, but still no real cohesion about their play. Nothing wrong with the tackle from Brannan. Off goes Morrissey through the middle, and well read then by Thomas. Now Sturridge is down injured, and it'll be a real blow to Birmingham if they have to lose him. Remember, he did have this calf injury, which almost prevented him from playing. So whether that's the problem, I don't know. And he was caught there by Brannan. And I must say, it looked a foul to me, Ron, but there you are.
So-so. I wouldn't criticise the referee not giving a decision on that one, to be perfectly honest with you. Sturridge has actually on 2 or 3 occasions had problems keeping his balance. Slipped over once or twice when he's been in prominent positions. Was limping badly, but what they do have, of course, they've got Dennis Bailey on the bench, who is actually would be a straight one-for-one replacement.
But Sturridge, the man in form, and it was his goal that put Birmingham in front, followed by that phenomenal strike by John Gale. Mathewson away. It goes Gale again. Free kick though to Tranmere. McNabb wants to take it quickly. Can't do so with Dean Peer in the way. So Higgins steps in. Cooper just whisked away then by Overson. What an important header that was then from the Birmingham captain, with Cooper lurking in there. Tranmere desperately trying to haul themselves back into this game. The whole cluster of players on that near post, and Vickers too at the far post. And the referee has given a free kick to Birmingham, so a tangle off the ball there that must have been, I didn't see too closely. What happened there, Ron? Were you watching?
It looked very much as if Cooper got involved with a little bit of argy-bargy in the centre of the box. that drives you up the wall, because Tranmere actually had worked quite a nice little corner there and got themselves into a threatening position.
Looked to be a well-rehearsed free kick, but it went wrong. So Birmingham City remain in control. Pierre on for Gale. Thomas's run curtailed. Off goes Sturridge. Hughes just getting there first. Tranmere, I gather, preparing to make a double substitution. Vickers and McNabb, the two to come off. Neil McNabb, who had been a doubt because of injury beforehand and hasn't really been able to dictate this game in the way that Tranmere would have liked. And Vickers, of course, a defender, so they're deciding now to spare a defender in their efforts to pull a goal or two back.
Well, it looks very much as if they're now going to dispense with the sweeper system, I would think, and go into a flat back four situation. And I think you'll probably find Hughes will push up into a more orthodox central defensive position.
Chris Malkin wearing 12 and Dave Martindale 14. They're the two players who've come on. Higgins with the kick. Here's Hughes now. Half the goal was blocked though. Kenny Irons. Now what can Morrissey do here? Not too much. A free kick to Tranmere, who are just beginning to ask one or two questions now, this Birmingham defence. Robertson organising the troops around it. A lot of movement in the area from Tranmere. And the header over the top from Higgins. Flag was up anyway. Brannan, who crossed it in there. Morrissey again. I'm not sure if that was intended as a cross or a shot or whatever, but Higgins couldn't keep it down. It was offside anyway. Cooper. Morrissey finding Brannan, making a good positive forward run here. Now Morrissey patrolling the left flank of this half, as Ron Atkinson suggested he might. Malkin. Malkin is onside. Cooper, and they've got one back. Cooper has scored. A look of grim determination on his face, and Tranmere Rovers are back in business. Excellent approach play by Morrissey. Then from Malkin.
Well, that's a lovely through ball from Morrissey. Malkin has held his run, stayed onside. A little bit of a scruffy ball in. Cooper will have enjoyed that. And all of a sudden now what's happened, Tranmere have actually pushed four forwards up. They're playing Malkin as an out-and-out right winger. Morrissey has switched to the left flank, although he was cutting in there. I think there might just have been a suggestion there. I don't know if it shows that of Steele being in an offside position. Not interfering with play might be added.
That's great work by Morrissey. Malkin takes it up, and an excellent flick into the corner then by Cooper. And there's a new dimension on the final now. Birmingham 2, Tranmere 1. And it's the turn of the Tranmere supporters, although greatly outnumbered, to find their voices now. Cooper, the goal scorer. That's his 5th since joining Tranmere from Barnsley back in December. Could be a very valuable one indeed. Overson was, I think, elbowed then. Certainly caught by the arm of Jim Steele.
Yeah, by virtue of the fact Tranmere are now playing with two out-and-out flank players, it means that Cooper and Steele will be pushed closer together. Won't have to concentrate on tracking defenders. They'll just have to concentrate now on getting in the box, which is exactly what he's done for the goal, Cooper. first half they spent a lot of time running wide, which was a little bit of a waste of energy and time, actually.
Brannan wins it in the air. Birmingham are about to bring on Bailey. Sturridge will be going off. He had that injury a few minutes ago. Higgins. Here's Brannan. A little bit more zip about Tranmere now. They know they're back in contention. And certainly Birmingham will have to keep an eye on Malkin and his extraordinary pace. Malkin, who apparently can cover 100 yards in around 11 seconds, which is no mean performance. There he is. His first touch lets him down sometimes, apparently, but he's very, very quick. So, Dennis Bailey, back at Birmingham after his spell at Bristol Rovers on loan. He was the first choice striker early on in the season, but then was out of favour. But now coming on for Simon Sturridge, who scored the opening goal. Great reception for the player going off and the player coming on too. But Birmingham's lead now under serious threat. And here's Bailey, flags up for offside.
Bailey's slightly different to Sturridge, whereas Sturridge is the sort of player that likes to have it to feet and beat the defender himself. Bailey's quite good at going off the ball. He's got decent pace. You know, and if Gale can get enough flick-ons, then Bailey will be effective.
Bailey, who was the top goal scorer last season for Birmingham, but has only got 5 this term. We're in 14. Dennis Bailey.
Certainly from a game point of view, the goal's been a great lift, hasn't it? I mean, all of a sudden from the game just fizzling out to a certain Birmingham win, now all of a sudden there's everything on. And in fact, Tranmere, as you said, they've got bang at it now. Something's happened at half-time to give them a lift. Obviously, Johnny King's done his work.
Irons. Hughes. And the referee bringing play back for free kick to Tranmere. The foul on Hughes. Now, can Irons get there first? Well, he was a little unlucky then.
What could also happen as well, of course, is defenders. The Birmingham defence have defended very comfortably for most of the game. No real threat against them in terms of pace. Now all of a sudden they're up against 4 front players. One Malkin, who's got exceptional pace, and it's something they haven't been conditioned to.
Malkin. This is Thomas. Up in search of Cooper and Steele, and Cooper was fouled then from behind. The referee right on the spot, John Martin. And Birmingham under some pressure now as they look to protect this advantage, and it certainly is a very different Tranmere side in the second half. And they can be very inventive on set pieces. What will they try here? Martindale is there, and Higgins. And Kenny Irons. Through by Irons for a corner. But he's certainly been beavering away, Kenny Irons, in Tranmere's cause. A lot more purpose about their play now. Morrissey will take the corner. They've left Higgins up there, and Hughes too. Now, what can Bailey do here? He's got Robinson in oceans of space over on the far side if he can find him. Tranmere with plenty of defenders back now. Frane's cross. Irons didn't get it clear. Hughes. And he was caught then by Robinson. But there was an opportunity there, Ron. If Bailey had spotted Robinson over on the far side, that could have been a different story there.
Yes, that's right. I mean, Robinson had made a great break on the other side to support him. I personally think Bailey should have gone it alone. He seemed as if he was a bit reluctant, wanted to buy time, wanted to get support players up to him. I think he had Higgins 1-for-1. He probably should have knocked it past him and tried to go at him, because he has got good pace, Bailey. But it's the first touch he's had since he's been on the field, and obviously his confidence and touch aren't sure yet.
Thomas for Tranmere. Off goes Malkin, the player with this lightning burst of speed, and Friend did well to stay with him then. But it's a corner.
But now you're seeing the value of somebody that can turn defenders. Just simply and purely by running, just simply by purely flying at them, the Birmingham defence has now got far more problems than it's had all game.
I think Johnny King just felt that Chris Malkin had lost his way a little bit in recent times. He had a spell out through injury, so he didn't make the starting lineup, but he's certainly making his presence felt now that he's on the field. Morrissey, and a goal from Steele! It's 2-2! And the match winner from last season has struck again. And what an extraordinary turnaround here in the second half. Johnny King isn't getting too excited, but the Tranmere fans are. An inspired comeback by Tranmere, and that's a terrific header by Jim Steele.
Yes, marvellous little piece of play here. Nice little layoff there to Morrissey. A very, very much quality ball in. And Steele, he's done it for years. Drew one from the memory bank there. One of his specials. But it's been coming for a while now. Birmingham haven't really been able to deal with Tranmere's momentum.
Well, he's never been a really prolific goal scorer down the years, Jim Steele, but you can always rely on him to pop up with a goal of that type. 2-2. And what a final we have on now.
I should think Birmingham wish he'd have joined the police force a little bit earlier.
He won't want to go now. Jim Steele, his 13th goal of the season. And that's his 5th in the Leyland DAF. Bailey. And off come Tranmere again, Martindale. Cooper. It's hard to believe, Ron, this is the same Tranmere side we saw in the first half.
That's right. I mean, I'm just watching people like Cooper now. They look to have come to life. They look springy in their running and so forth. What must be worrying a little bit is all of a sudden Gale, who was winning so many of those headers and first balls, appears now just to have dried up a little bit on that.
Well, Hughes looking in vain towards referee John Martin for a free kick. Didn't get it. Goes the throw to Birmingham. And suddenly, from commanding this final, they find themselves picked back to 2-2. And one hand has been torn away from the trophy. Off goes Cooper. It's Overson. I wonder now what's going through the mind then of Lou Macari, having seen his team so much on top in the first half. And just to remind you, if it stays like this at the end of the 90 minutes, we'll be in for extra time, and if need be, they'll then have to go to penalties. A real bubbling atmosphere now around Wembley in this final of the 3rd and 4th division teams. Well, Ron, which way do you think it's going to swing now?
Psychologically, it's now with Tranmere. It's going to test Birmingham's character a little bit, because obviously they look to have had the game well won, but Tranmere have come back from the dead. As I say, I think, well, I wouldn't like to predict a result, to be fair to you. I mean, the game's fluctuated so much, and so many performances have fluctuated. I mean, Birmingham's midfield, which was absolutely tremendous in the first half, now can hardly get a touch of the ball.
Martindale to Steele. It's a fine pass sent to, finding Morrissey. Cooper. There's Gleckhorn away. Bailey to Peer. No, Martindale in so quickly. I'm told he had an inspired match in midweek in the playoff final, Martindale, and he's come on to good effect so far.
Yes, he's looked exceptionally sharp. What he started doing now is winning a lot of the second balls, the balls that are knocked down. Whereas Pear and Robinson have been breaking up most of the play first half. They're not really getting a sniff of the ball at the moment.
Tranmere really swamped in the first half in midfield, but it's certainly not the case now. Flags up. Flags up. For offside.
Also, I think it just shows a marked contrast to the halves. Clarkson, I don't think, has been over the halfway line this half. Whereas in the first half, he was constantly coming down and bombing in great crosses for Birmingham.
Off goes Irons. Let Morrissey away to his left. This is Pear now. Birmingham's grip on the game has suddenly disappeared by this revival by Tranmere. Regarded as the best footballing side in the lower divisions, Tranmere. And they've certainly shown those qualities since the break. Malkin, whistle's gone. Don't think some of the players had heard it. Maybe those Tranmere fans who were leaping with joy didn't hear it. I'm sure Malkin did, though. And I wonder now, Ron, looking back, how important those saves of Eric Nixon's were in the first half.
Well, particularly the one of Dean Pear right on the stroke of half-time. If that one goes in, they're never going to come back from 3-0. It's going to go on to about 5 or 6. But at the moment, he just did it. It's kept them in it, and you've seen the value of it now. They're possibly going on to win it.
Eric Nixon, captain for the day, in the absence of Mungle and Jimmy Harvey. And he's given a captain's performance with some heroic stops. Good header then by Gleghorn. Off goes Gale. Control though by Hughes.
Yeah, actually, Hughes has looked far more effective since he's gone into an orthodox central defensive position. He's decided he's going to take the responsibility of Gale, and quite honestly, Gale, who we were making easily the outstanding performer on the field in the first half, really seems to be dying a little bit.
I'm going to try to prove you wrong here. Bailey beaten to it. Now Clarkson. Turned by Brannan. Appeals from 40,000 Brummies for handball. Not though, in fairness, from the players. But I bet his heart skipped a beat there, Jeff Brannan.
Did a little bit. I mean, we weren't in a good position to see, but fortunately enough for the referee, the linesman was looking bang on in at him.
Yeah, Shot Martin was right on the spot then, and he's kept this game under control superbly so far, he asked me to say. No, he's had a great game, John Martin. One of our most respected referees, and rightly so.
I wonder if they'll pull that short corner again. They have caught Birmingham napping throughout the game instead of just loading the thing in, playing a little one.
Irons will take the kick. This is Morrissey. Didn't find Hughes or Steele. Shot from Brannan, charged down, and the linesman is flagging furiously down below us. In the meantime, young Jet Brannan with a problem.
Of course, there is that situation. If the game does go into extra time, Johnny King has in fact used both his substitutes, whereas Lou has still got one left in the pack.
Don't think he really had much alternative though, Ron. He had to do something to change the course of the game, really.
Oh, very much so, and he had to go positive, and he had to go with I mean, the Malkin boy hasn't surprised me, because, as I say, I've seen a fair bit of him, and I quite rate him. The Martindale boy I haven't seen before, but he's looked a bit of bonus. He's given that composure and that little bit of zip.
What about Lou then? What's Lou thinking now?
Lou will be asking his team, which he always does, for more and more effort. That was a little bit misguided effort there of Big Gales there. He's nearly broke Brannan in two.
Lou Macari, who's quite rightly, I think, declined to discuss any of the speculation about his future. And of course, Birmingham hoping that their performance today will persuade him that his future lies at St Andrews. But here's Malkin now. trying to turn it into the path of Morrissey.
He's definitely the difference. The big fella's pace and unorthodox play is the difference. He's occupying a right wing spot, then all of a sudden appearing through the middle, and to be fair to Birmingham, Overson and Matthewson are finding it hard to deal with his pace.
Morrissey with the corner. Hughes has come up, and Higgins too. Hughes was on the near post. It was Peer who whacked it clear. Peer again. So nearly scored a third goal for Birmingham before half-time that might well have put this game beyond the grasp of Tranmere. But as it is, well, they've bounced back in terrific style to make it 2-2 and give us an outstanding final. Bailey. Here's Malkin. Now then for Steele. They've got 4 up in this attack. Thomas. Malkin's made the forward run. And again, it was the speed off the mark of Malkin that created that problem. Steele. Irons was first to react. Good save by Thomas. There's the other Thomas now, Tony, finding Brannan. Birmingham City pinned back in their own half. Morrissey jinking one way then the other. Well, that's super skill. And a rather poor clearance presents it back again to Martindale. Irons quickly closed down though. Now Brannan. Brannan, who was the hero in midweek with that winner against Brentford that took Tranmere into next week's playoff final. Young man who achieved England youth team recognition as well earlier in the season. The under-19 squad. Brannan now. Morrissey. What an extraordinary transformation in the second half. Malkin losing out. Now, what can Yates do here? Finding Gale. Frame. This is Peer. Perfectly legal tackle though by Hughes. Overson. Yates on now then for Gale. He's got Bailey in the middle. Still Gale. This is Robinson. That was a fair strike.
Yes, that's the best situation they've had in the half. First time Gale, well, not the first time Gale, but it's been a long time since Gale's got himself this free, sets himself up and pulls it back to Robinson. Not the easiest ball in the world to hit from that distance, and but at least it gives Birmingham a little bit of respite and a little bit more belief that they can produce something.
Robinson on loan from Notts County. And he was never present in their side last season, Notts County, but couldn't hold down a regular place in this term. Martindale. Misunderstanding though with Thomas. Good jump by Thomas. Young man who impressed us so much in the final last season.
Yeah, he certainly looks happier now since he's switched into a more of an orthodox right full-back position.
Off goes Malkin.
I tell you, Birmingham are absolutely terrified of his pace, because not only is he a good runner, he's an orthodox, and he makes very, very good timed runs. He makes runs across the line, he ducks back in at people, and at the moment, for me, he's completely changed the course of the game.
Framed with the free kick. Gale couldn't make it. It ought to be Nixon's ball, and it is. Gasp of anticipation from the Birmingham flock behind the goal. But they've seen their team's authority undermined in the second half, and well, Tranmere on top now. Morrissey causing untold problems. John Martin, who was right alongside him, saw nothing wrong, and off goes Gale. Morrissey has stayed down and is apparently quite badly hurt. Now the referee has stopped play for a free kick to Birmingham.
Well, John Morris has certainly looked far more effective since he's gone on the left-hand side. At the moment, he's got an out-and-out problem, but he's looked a lot more effective since he's gone on that side, and I think he may feel he should have got something here. He's attacking the defender, Clarkson. He ducks back in on his right foot. Yates, I think it is, comes across, and I think that was an obstruction. Don't think it was a penalty, but I certainly think there was a case for obstruction there. But once again, as you said, John Martin was about 2 yards from the incident.
So some attention needed for John Morrissey. And, well, he's clearly winded.
Oh yeah, Yates caught him full on.
But he has looked a different player in the second half, and his confidence is there, taking players on. And he's now back in the fray. Didn't really make any breakthrough at Everton or at Wolves, but a very popular figure now at Tranmere Rovers. The free kick drilled in towards Overson. There's Gale! And he's done it again! Fabulous strike by Gale, who goes off to receive the acclaim of the Birmingham supporters. 2 goals for John Gale, and Birmingham are back in front. One by Overson in the air.
Well, it's the old 1-2 again. Clarkson, a big high ball to the far post. Overson keeps the ball in the penalty box, and Gale, I don't know what he's been taking, but certainly this isn't the Gale I've seen over the years. I mean, that is a goal that would grace any cup final, any game. Lets it go past his right shoulder, hooks it, and he probably knew when he hit it, it was goal bound.
Just over 5 minutes to go, and it's Birmingham 3, Tranmere 2. And a second goal for John Gale.
Just shows the fortunes of football, though, Peter. If I was John King sitting there, I would have felt that 30 seconds earlier we should have been having a decision in our penalty box. Instead, the referee gives one the other way, and they've scored from it.
Well, it's an astonishing second half, and it isn't over yet. Morrissey now. Malkin in the middle. Frain was back there. Clarkson now. John Gale, the hero of Birmingham. And didn't he tuck it away delightfully? But a real blow, a hammer blow to Tranmere, who come back with a vengeance in this second half. Gleckhorn now. Gale wants it in the middle. Too long for him, though. Oh, and Nixon in the spot above about. And that was really the only way out. Well, they're happy again now. They got a little quiet for a while, the Birmingham followers. But now they're all smiles and the banners are waving. And here's the band they're waving them for. John Gale. Yates. Off goes Bailey. Well, there's still time for Tranmere to come back again. They prove they can do it once. Have they the resources now to do it again? Steele wants it upfield. One by Malkin. Cross comes Overson. Now Thomas. Towards Cooper. And Thomas gratefully plunging on the ball. Well, Ron, we'll try to catch our breath for a moment and ask you to think about the man of the match. A few contenders in the first half who perhaps weren't around in the second, and vice versa. And we'll come to you for that in a moment. Off goes Gale and Nixon, and that came off Gale. But leading contenders, Ron?
Well, in the first half, you would have to put bracket most of the Birmingham midfield in it. Second half, for me, Malkin and Morrissey have made a hell of a difference for Tranmere to give them a chance to get back in the game.
Glencorn on for Bailey, released by Higgins.
Eric Nixon, of course, for some of those marvellous saves that gave his side a chance to come back into the game.
I'll ask you to name the man of the match very shortly. Lou McCurry isn't worried about that. His only concern is winning it. Chick Bates alongside him as assistant, who was here with Swindon a year ago. Swindon won the playoff final against Sunderland, but were of course denied their place in the first division by the controversy. Dramatic dive in the box. The referee points for a goal kick. I'm sure to the Birmingham fans a long way away that might have looked like a penalty, but only a couple of minutes left now. Can Birmingham hold on? Higgins. Now the volume of noise now cascading down from the terraces from the Birmingham fans is quite deafening, as their team are only 90 seconds or so away from winning the trophy. Well, Ron Atkinson, we'll get you now to name your man of the match.
Well, I don't think it'll come as a surprise. Finals make heroes, and the most unlikely hero of all, certainly in my book, is today. There could only be one winner, John Gale.
2 goals and a wholehearted performance.
Yeah, 2 goals, made the other. Numerous attempts that nearly and has generally created havoc in the Tranmere defence.
And here he is again now. Glencorn's gone down the middle. Still Gale towards Bailey. Brennan back there. Oh, he's lost Bailey. Good recovery by Higgins. And a rather tired lunge at it then from Yates. For Birmingham, still pressing here, and the seconds are ticking away. Nixon, a clean catch. Cooper. Steele. But off goes Glencorn now. And Lou McCurry will want the ball as far into Tranmere territory as they can kick it. Birmingham, whose season has taken off so dramatically since the arrival of Lou McCurry, and there the smile of an absolutely elated man. John Gale, with his 2 goals, has won the cup for Birmingham. But all credit to Tranmere for the way they rallied in the second half, and that's what it means to the folk of Birmingham. John Gale, much maligned in his early days at St Andrews earlier in the season, but now so much the hero. And the hero to those of all ages. And there, of course, the bitter face of defeat. Johnny Morrissey, who certainly turned it on for Tranmere in the second half. And here was the reaction of Lou McCurry on that final whistle. That's what Lou thought of it all. And who would have thought that Birmingham City would have done so much under Lou in such a short time?
I just thinking, I wonder what Lou's thoughts were when he saw his 2-goal lead whittled away. You know, whether it went back to that day when he was actually playing in the final against Arsenal. And then when they got back they pulled 2 back in the last few minutes and lost to an Alan Sunderland goal with the last kick of the match. Wonder if he thought he was going to hit him again, the Wembley jinx.
Well, they're the two managers embracing, and that's wonderful to see. Johnny King, whose team will be back here next week, striving for a place in the second division for the first time in more than 50 years. They've known victory here last season, of course, in this competition, but then failed in the playoffs. Maybe this time it'll be the other way round. So Birmingham City have done it. They have won the Leyland DAF trophy. The most dramatic final it turned out to be. They have beaten Tranmere Rovers by 3 goals to 2. So up through the disconsolate Tranmere players, led by Eric Nixon, who made those brave, defiant saves in the first half. And it seemed the game was running away from Tranmere. And really those saves inspired their revival in the second half, but in the end it was all to no avail. But Eric Nixon will be back here next week. Tranmere's season far from over. There's such an important date still to come. Different story to last season when they triumphed over Bristol Rovers. And Mark Hughes there was one of the heroes on the day. Steve Vickers. There's Jim Steele, I saw there, whose goal brought it back to 2-2. But Birmingham City lifted themselves for one last surge and found the winner. And now their fans are celebrating in the noisiest possible fashion. And my word, there'll be some parties back in the Midlands tonight. A clutch fist then from Vince Overson, accepting congratulations from those delirious Birmingham fans. Vince Overson, who not so long ago described the club as being in a comatose condition. He felt they were going nowhere and was so disillusioned he talked about leaving the club. Well, he'll be mighty pleased he stayed on now. Getting a handshake there from Gordon Taylor. Old Birmingham player, of course, Gordon Taylor. And there he is, Vince Overson, about to lift the Leyland DAF Cup, to be presented by a great old name from sporting past, Dennis Compton. Hero himself in his day at cricket and football. Well, that's it, that's the moment the Birmingham fans and the players will cherish. 35 years, remember, since they last played at Wembley. 28 since they last won a trophy. He wasn't around then, but he hopes to see a few more successes in the years to come. And maybe this is the start of something big for Birmingham City. They've come down here in their masses today from the Midlands, and they certainly won't be going home disappointed. Martin Thomas behind him there, the goalkeeper, who saw 2 goals go past him and must have thought perhaps it wasn't going to be Birmingham's day after all. Phil Robinson there, a winner with Notts County against Tranmere in the playoff final last season. And these are triumphant scenes that the Birmingham fans will remember for a long time to come. They've been looking forward to this day for so long. And the singing here will continue, I'm sure, for quite a while yet. The transformation under Lou Macari is underway. Great moment too for Samesh Kumar, their chairman, the brothers who run Birmingham City. A football fanatic. And in the meantime, they're milking every second of this. Vince Overson and the delighted Birmingham players. There's Chick Bates there, Lou's assistant. They look absolutely drained at the moment, Ron.
Yeah, so it's been the most dramatic of games, isn't it? They'd won it easy, then they appear to have lost it, and then out the blue, this man's weighed in with a magnificent winner.
John Gale, double reason for celebration. No wonder you're smiling so much. 2 excellent goals, first of all.
You know what I mean? True fans, man. You know what I mean? And then all of them, they're my bubblers, man. You know what I mean? I'm sorry about my language. Yeah, but it was a tremendous game. I really enjoyed it. You know what I mean? We had hard 4 months and whatever. You know what I mean? But apart from that, look at the crowd today. It's tremendous.
Well, a magnificent atmosphere, but having played so well in the first half, I thought you did your best to throw it away in the second half.
No, I think we just relaxed with it. You know what I mean? But we just carried on, and we deserve it. You know what I mean? So, we got the points. So.
Okay, John, I'm just going to give you the Man of the Match award. Many congratulations, and a marvellous winning goal. Well done, John.
No, thanks a lot, all. Right, see ya.
Yet another extraordinary day in the Lou Macari life of the last 2 or 3 years, but you're a real happy man tonight.
Well, the players have made it that. They got us 2 goals in front and then played suicide football, ended up 2 each at one stage and looked as if it was all going down the drain, but a great goal, fitting, I think, to win any cup final, won us the game.
And before the game, Lou, you said all your medals with Scotland, Manchester United, you would trade for this success today if you won. Were you being serious?
Well, I was, because I've never been here as a manager, and some managers are never fortunate enough to come here. I've come here with a team, and not only have we won, I think it's been a tremendous game for the supporters.
You're known as one of the real battlers in this game, Lou, but you've been stretched to your limits in a personal way. Swindon, West Ham and everything else.
It's difficult for me to comment on that, because I think 1 or 2 people helped that battle to take place. And if they're watching today, I've won a cup with Birmingham City. I'm back there, and I'm delighted.
And apart from the fact that it was an excellent game again, the overriding impression from Wembley today is the enormous potential that you've got at your football club.
Well, I would think we've had 40-something thousand here today. They've all gone home happy. I would even think the Tranmere supporters have gone home happy. And everyone who's been watching on your programme, I'm sure, has been delighted that they've watched the match today.
What for the next coming season?
Oh, it's too early yet. Let's get today over with. I heard Big Ron's just made John Gale man of the match. I think he's been drinking. Have you, Ron?
Lou, well done. Good to see you with a smile on your face. I hope it lasts. Well done.
Well, what about that, Ron? He says you've been drinking to make him man of the match.
I tell you what, the little man himself will start drinking. He knows himself what a favour he owes that guy. As I say, Wembley's about heroes. John Gale is as big a hero as there's been in years. It's a fairy tale for him, really.
Actually, Lou's teetotal, isn't he? He won't be drinking tonight.
He is indeed, yeah. But as I say, he'll be on a high tonight, the little man, and deservedly so. After what's happened to him over the last couple of years or so, to come back and do this and be appreciated. I mean, that's the big thing. Those people behind that bottom goal singing their hearts up, they appreciate the little man.
But as in any final, of course, the contrast is the dejection of the losing side, and they're the faces of despair for the Tranmere players. Vickers and Higgins there applauding their fans for the support they gave their team today. But it's all about the winners now. Well, the celebrations aren't going to die down for some time yet, and these fans just don't want to leave the stadium. Great day for Birmingham. They've beaten Tranmere by 3 goals to 2 to win the Leyland DAF Cup for 1991.